Rebellious Studio presents the Mind Body Podcast with your host, Maria Angelova. Hey Rebels, welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. It is my pleasure today to have here with me today my friend, Dr. LaKisha James. Hello, Miss LaKisha, how are you doing?
Sister, I am fantastic. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm excited because we're talking. It's been long.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
excited. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share your platform with me.
absolutely. It is an absolute pleasure. All right, let's dive right in. Give us 3 words and a little bit of a story behind them of who you are.
The 3 words, I would say leader, persistent, and a mother, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was born a leader. I
Yeah.
really don't know exactly what you're capable of until life happens. So that's why I consider myself a leader. I'm a mom with 2 girls. So I think I was created to be a mom, be that nurturer, be that teacher for my girls. And then persistent. I'm very persistent at what I do because if I don't be persistent, I won't accomplish anything. Because I'm stubborn sometimes. So I definitely have to be persistent.
Well, you know what? When life shows up in certain ways,
Absolutely. And it will.
yes, it will. And speaking of it will, let's talk about those uncomfortable moments. I mean, you are a very successful entrepreneur. Kudos to you for that and congratulations. Tell us
Thank you.
about how did that come about? How did you get into entrepreneurship? And let's talk about growth and that persistence that we started with.
Okay, so I got into entrepreneurship after I had my last child. She's 7 now, so I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, just to know exactly what business I was going to start because I was just multitalented at everything. Like everything I put my hands to, it was a success. So after I had her, 2017, I started Design Events by LaKisha, where we specialize in corporate event planning, set design for films and plays, and event design. And fast forward to 2023, I'm like so much more than a corporate event planner. I'm like an international bestselling author, global speaker, event host. I've won 2 awards, director of event planning for an organization, my own talk show, which debuted back in last year. I started in 2021, so I'm very excited about that. So that tells you I'm very comfortable in the camera, very comfortable. And for me, I think entrepreneurship is just important for me to get my voice out there, for me to impact and change lives, because I think when we're created to be on a platform such as this, that we're change makers. You never know who's watching you. You never know whose life you're going to change. And that influence goes a long way because you never know the life you change until they say, hey, you helped me overcome this because I heard you say this, And I think when we share our stories, it's not for us, it's for the next person that hears it. So it's healing for them and also healing for us.
That is such a great statement. And I would tell you, as somebody who posts on social media, you post something, you have put so much energy into it, and you're like, oh, I didn't get the likes or the views that you wanted to. And it can be discouraging. But then you hear that one person who said, I am so glad I caught your video, and it was exactly what I needed to hear, right? And it's a great reminder that you just need to touch one person.
That's it.
Right, to make a change. And that's how we change the world. That's what I always say, one person at a time.
Absolutely. I agree with that because you never know who's watching. And like I said, it's not for us, it's for them. We go through things for other people, for them to see exactly, I can do this. Even a traumatizing situation or a circumstance that happened in their life, it's like we go through that to make us stronger so we can share our story because somewhere someone needs to hear it. That's in the world.
Yeah. Speaking of, you know what? There is a lot of echo where you are. It's hard to hear you.
Really, probably my office because I don't have any window panels here.
Oh, yeah.
It's naked windows. That's probably why.
Yeah, okay. Maybe stay closer. Let me see if you stay closer to the mic.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because like there is echo on the side and sometimes the so okay.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Go ahead.
So like I was saying, it's not for us. And I have a slogan that I say all the time before I speak or in the middle of me speaking. Everyone has a story. What's yours? Because everyone has a story. Like share your story. Your voice is your superpower.
Speaking of sharing your story, what would you like to share with us about your story?
My story started when I was born, right? I can't tell you guys how old I am, right? But it started when I was born, and life happens. And we go through things that makes us stronger. We go through things to be examples for other people. We go through things to share with other people. And I think when you start sharing, you start healing because there are different levels of healing. And I think about two situations that happened in my life back in 2012. I'll share a little story that I had a stillbirth. I lost my baby at 36 weeks, and not for one moment did I blame God for that because I knew He had a bigger plan because everything goes according to His plan. So fast forward to now, I share my story with still intention. I share my story to heal me, and I share my story to heal others because, like I said, you never know what people go through. You never know what they've gone through. You never know what they're going through at that moment. But me sharing my stillbirth story helps me, and then it helps other customers that's going through it and that will go through it. And that's just one of my stories, a piece of my life that makes up who I am now. And I think that when that happened, that really had an impact on what I'm doing now because I tell everybody she's the reason why I'm doing this because it's not my story, it's our story. I'm sharing our story. I'm changing lives with our story. So I'm excited about that. And then another phase in my life, I did go through depression. I've heard about depression. Didn't really know what it was, but I knew I was in an unfamiliar place. So when I recognized that, I had to do something. But I was there, I think, in that stage about 3 months before I really said, you know what, I got to come out of this. And I came out of it. And that's another stage in my life where I like to discuss because so many people go through depression. So many people go through mental health and no one's there to talk about it. They don't have anyone to talk to. Maybe they don't understand, or maybe they're just scared to say something. But those are two things in my life that I'm really proud about because again, it makes me who I am. And if I had to go through those phases again, those stages in my life, I would do it again because I would be a different person if I did not go through those. So
Yeah.
I'm excited that God did take me through those to make me who I am. And so for me to share part of my story.
Yeah, I firmly believe that our stories shape us and they put us on a trajectory of where we're supposed to be. They're not always comfortable. And I'm glad that you're opening up because I have had contact with females who have gone through loss and their feelings were not acknowledged of how they were feeling. And they thought that they should just go through life like everything is okay. And they were not okay. And
Mm-hmm.
they had to catch up with their healing over time because it really caught up with them suppressing their emotion and what they had gone through. And speaking of depression, I speak to a lot of people who there is stigma around it, there is shame, there is not feeling comfortable to acknowledge that I don't feel okay. And to the point you made before, when we acknowledge and share that it is okay to say you don't feel okay, it is okay to seek help. It doesn't make you a lesser person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It is what it is. And it's something that's happening to you to help you grow and heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's okay not to be okay. Like it's okay if you just want to take the day off and do nothing. It's okay if you want to sit in the bed and eat ice cream.
You
If
don't
that's
do
your
it
guilty
every
pleasure,
day.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And like I said, when you're getting to that moment, just think about what you could do to better. Why are you in that moment? Why are you in that thought process? And see what happens. You may surprise yourself when you come out of it. You'll be moving different, be thinking different. It may, tackle a new task that you've been wanting to do for months. So I think it's good just to take a day and just breathe. Don't do anything. Just reevaluate.
That is such an important point because I help with people in how their bodies feel. And just today I was working with a client and there is some physical stuff going on. And I said, how are you feeling emotionally? What's going on? How is stress? And it's interesting. People always say, fine, everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start having that conversation, and I said, okay, it's good to be fine, but let's just think, when did this start? And I kid you not, every time we start digging, it's like, oh, I never thought about it. Well, I never thought it impacts me this way, right? And that awareness starts coming onto you. And I always tell people, your body would never lie to you about what's going on in your life. You can try to fake it, But if things are not good, mentally, emotionally, physically, your body will speak to you. And what you said is so important. It's okay to take a day off. It's okay to take a week off and just slow down. And I tell my friends, if you need to have a self-pity party for a day and sit in bed and binge watch TV and have ice cream, and that's what makes you feel better, that's okay. Don't make it months. But if you need to have a day like that and then snap it together and decide what the solution steps are to move forward, but it's okay to give yourself permission to just be.
Absolutely, because if we just take off everything that we do, the accolades, the accomplishment, being a mother, you're just like me. I'm just LaKisha. Like, who am I without all of that? And I was that before I got all the accomplishment, the accolades, and all of that. It's like you have to go back to you, be comfortable with yourself, and be happy with yourself. So yeah, I agree with that.
Be careful. Be comfortable with who we are, with your core. And I think what happens is we don't know ourselves. And sadly, sometimes it's the urgency in life that creates the conditions to get to know ourselves. Something happens, right? Life doesn't go the way we want it to go. Now what? And you start digging and you start uncovering things about yourself that I will tell you, I went through my story and I was shocked I was almost 40 years old when like my big revelation started, and I was like, wow, I went through life successfully, right? Had a successful career, had the graduate degrees, like in the forefront, I was successful. And in the background, I didn't know who I was. I was so buried into societal expectations and what I should do and who I should be that I had forgotten who I really am.
And it happens. It happens. Like you never know who you are until you go through things in life, and life has a way of waking you up.
It
You
does.
really don't know how strong you are until life happens.
What
You have
would
to
you
figure
say?
it out.
What would you say to somebody who is going through a healing journey, in terms of the journey itself? Because it's not always comfortable.
Ooh, I know. It's allow yourself to go through the journey. Allow yourself to heal if you are healing from a traumatic experience. You have to allow yourself, because if you don't, you're going to continue to suppress it. And it's going to be maybe a year, 2, 4, 5 now, and something's going to trigger you and it's going to come up and it will not be good. So you definitely have to give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time on that journey. You just have to. And trust and believe, once you do, you're going to be amazed at yourself, the outcome that you brought out of yourself, and then how you're going to help the next person overcome what they're going through.
Yes, I agree with you. Give yourself space, give yourself time, give yourself permission, I say too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I do have to ask you, what is your definition of rebellious?
Doing what I want. I make my own rules. You know what I'm saying? They can't tell me what I can't do and what I cannot do. They just can't. Yeah. But yeah, I would say rebellious for me is making my own rules, because society has this stigma of this person can do this because they have this title. That's not necessarily true. I mean, it's so many people that are millionaires that did not go to school that doesn't have a degree. So make your own rules in life. And that's rebellious for me, because I can do what I want to do. I can cry if I want to. I can be successful if I want to. I can be in the bed eating ice cream if I want to.
We keep going
I
to
can
that
just do what
ice
I want
cream.
to.
It sounds like an ice cream day today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Friday, it's a good reason to have ice cream.
Absolutely.
What would you say is something that keeps you going and that keeps you growing outside of your comfort zone? Something that helps you stay rebellious, because the world is not always so kind when you're rebellious.
I know, because I'm a stubborn woman too, and can be a little selfish at times. I think pretty much what keeps me going is knowing my why I do what I do, why I'm a mother, who I can help, who needs my help, wanting to be a change maker, wanting to be an impact. So that would be why I continue to do what I do, because I want to change the world. Be that person that it could be something as simple as I want to create a piece of art that can like speak to me. Like somebody may say, "Oh, that's silly," but no, I mean that is just it. It's like you have to have that in you. Like you can be that inventor of that. So yeah, I think that's what keeps me going and keeps me passionate about what I do.
I frequently tell people that it doesn't matter what others think about what you want, as long as it's what you want and you believe in it, and it's you have a strong why for why it is important to you. Like you said, it might be the silliest thing ever. When I made my change, people were like, Pilates teacher. I was like, I don't know. It sounds cool to me. It makes me happy. You're not going to do it. I'm going to do it. So it's important for me.
Absolutely. And you have to be comfortable in that, making your decision. Because if you're not comfortable in it, no one else will be. If they don't see your passion for it out of you, no one else will. You have to let them know this is what I am, this is what I do. And you enjoy it. And that's one of the things that keeps me going, being a Pilates instructor.
Speaking of passion, let's talk about that. Where has your passion taken you? You do so many things. I try to follow you on social media, and it's one of those things like, wow, here we go. She's doing something different.
hmm my passion has taken me where I didn't even think I would be right now. Even with an honorary doctorate back in 2021, it's like, this is amazing. And like I said, you never know who's watching you. Like someone thought enough of me to honor me with that. And it's like, this is amazing. Someone thought enough of me to put me in the Marquee Schools for America for 2021 and 2022. I'm like, this is amazing. And then just different magazines reaching out, wanted to just hear my story because a lot of people have followed me from 2017 up until now. And again, I was just a corporate event planner. But now fast forward to 2023, just I'm so much more. And my passion is just to continue to do what I was created to do, whatever that may be, on a podcast, TV show, talk show, radio show, on a platform, a speaking platform, in a magazine. All of that I'm very passionate about because, like I said, somewhere in the world, someone is hearing my story. Because it's not for me, it's for me to share it, to help the next person. It's just like a domino effect.
Yeah, I can so relate to what you're saying, because when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I started it as a fitness studio. And the journey, the unexpected twists and turns of the journey have taken me to a place I had no idea was a possibility. And I never thought I would be doing a podcast. I never thought I would want to change an industry, the mindset of people around self-care and wellness. And here we are, 6 short years after. It's such an incredible experience that is so powerful. And it's even hard to describe to people who have not gone through it. Would you agree with that?
I do. And for me, I just started, I want to say last year, looking back when I started up until now, it's like, you can't despise humble beginnings. It's like, look how far you've come. Like, it's so much to celebrate for.
Yeah.
Like, you just never knew that you would be where you are now. It's like, celebrate it. You got to celebrate where you came from and where you're going, because the sky is not the limit. There are definitely greater heights out there. So
I'm very glad you brought celebration, because in a couple of weeks ago in the mindset session, that was the topic of the session, celebrate, because we're really good at beating ourselves up when things don't go our way, but we're not so good at celebrating our accomplishments. And I was joking with a client today because, the way I teach fitness and Pilates is very different. And her foot was not rotating the way, I didn't want it. And I was like, look at that, your foot looks good. And I was so excited. And she looked at me and I was like, I know. I was like, it's the little geeky things that excite me. But this is like so big, like knowing what I know, this is a big thing that's going to help your knee, and it's going to help your hip, and it's going to help your spine. And let's celebrate that little advance that your body has made, because over time, those little steps make for the big changes. And for
absolutely, like I said, you can't despise humble beginnings. You started somewhere. It's like, look at you now. It's like, oh my God, the transformation, the growth, So yeah, it's amazing. You got to celebrate yourself.
I like humble beginnings. I'm totally stealing that from you. Okay, well, let's wrap up by you sharing a favorite quote or a piece of inspiration or a story, anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners.
Well, my favorite quote, of course, is by Dr. LaKisha. Everyone has a story. What's yours? It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what you went through. The world needs to hear your story. It's not for you. It's for someone else. And once you start sharing that, you're going to heal, and you're going to heal the world. Everyone needs to hear it.
Yeah.
So everyone has a story. What's yours? Share it.
Don't diminish your story. It's out there, and be brave in sharing it. You know, speaking of healing and sharing, you started with that. I have a client, we started years ago, and I asked her, would you share your would you share your story? And she said, oh, Maria, absolutely not. And she thought it was embarrassing. And I said, okay, fair. You share your story when you're ready to share your story, right? Not when somebody else tells you. And 5 years later, we were in a group setting, and she just shared her story. And I was like, wow. So when she finished talking, I said, are you aware what you just did? She said, what did I do? I said, you just shared your story. And do you remember years ago when I asked you and you said, there's no way I'm ever going to share my story? She wasn't embarrassed. She didn't feel ashamed or any of those feelings that she thought she would have. And to your point, I think that's part of her healing.
She had a breakthrough and she didn't even know it.
Yes. And it's so powerful.
Absolutely. I'm happy for her. Way to
Yes.
go. And then she's going to just start sharing more too.
And you know what? When you share, you give permission and opportunity to the next person who is dealing with something similar or something close to that to say, oh, wow, look at that. So that's how you empower others to do as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I say, you never know what they're going through. And we sometimes go through similar things, but we have different outcomes. So it's definitely important to share.
Yes.
And they be like, you know what? This happened to me. How did they help you? You know, do you feel like it was a breakthrough? You know, can you like share that with someone else? Are you ready to share that? Because someone needs to hear it. And again, it's not for you, it's for someone else.
Yeah. And I think it's important to hear, like you said, everybody might have different outcomes because it also gives us a variety of perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that same experience, different, we all perceive the world in a different way based on what our belief system is, what we were taught. And having that variety of perspective is wealth. It's how the world goes around and how we empower the world, because we can see different viewpoints versus just believe ours is right.
I love that. Different perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Dr. LaKisha, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Dr. LaKisha James. Design Events by LaKisha is on Instagram and Facebook, and Twitter, Design and Plan for You. And Talks with LaKisha is on YouTube and Instagram, Talks with LaKisha Show, and Talks with LaKisha on YouTube.
Excellent. Well, LaKisha, I am so grateful for your time. Thank you very much for being here with us today, and I wish you continued success. And you guys,
thank you so much.
Thanks for listening and tuning in. Can't get enough of those rebellious conversations? Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends.